Mr. Kurtz said, "By the simple exercise of our will, we can exert a power for good practically unbounded." Marlowe was impressed by Kurtz's writings. He said, "From that point he soared and took me with him. The peroration was magnificent, though difficult to remember, you know. It gave me the notion of an exotic immensity ruled by an august benevolence. It made me tingle with enthusiasm. This was the unbounded power of eloquence, of words, of burning noble words. There were no practical hints to interrupt the magic current of phrases, unless a kind of note at the foot of the last page, scrawled evidently much later, in an unsteady hand, may be regarded as the exposition of a method. It was very simple, and at the end of that moving appeal to every altruistic sentiment it blazed at you, luminous and terrifying, like a flash of lightning in a serene sky. Exterminate all the brutes." Is this one of the greatest literary passages ever? We can imagine that Kurtz began as an idealist, a person with the highest hopes and ambitions, who thought the greatest wonders could be achieved. But contact with the real world, with how people really are and what actually needs to be done to change anything, eventually brought Kurtz to the horror, and then he saw the most horrific truth of all. Only death wins. Kill your enemies. Annihilate them. Exterminate all the brutes. That was the Kurtz Doctrine. We became Kurtz when we surveyed so much of the online illuminist scene. We were appalled. It truly was a thing of horror. There were people in that scene that we genuinely wished dead. There are people in that community who, if they dropped dead now, would thereby bring about a huge leap in human progress. They are the toxic, mad trolls, the brutes who wreck everything, who have no sense of the sacred. They render everything they go near profane and disgusting by the very fact that they have gone near it. These are amongst the most repulsive, anomic people in the world. They are the very worst losers and failures in life, and they try to make everyone else lose and fail too. Marlowe said, "Kurtz won't be forgotten. Whatever he was not common. He had the power to charm or frighten rudimentary souls into an aggravated witch dance in his honor. He could also fill the small souls of the pilgrims with bitter misgivings. He had one devoted friend at least, and he had conquered one soul in the world that was neither rudimentary nor tainted with self-seeking. No, I can't forget him, though I am not prepared to affirm the fellow was exactly worth the life we lost in getting to him." Kurtz was not an ordinary man. Anything but. Nietzsche said, "All superior men who were irresistibly drawn to throw off the yoke of any kind of morality and to frame new laws had, if they were not actually mad, no alternative but to make themselves or pretend to be mad." A Russian colleague of Kurtz said, "He got the tribe to follow him. They adored him. What can you expect? He came to them with thunder and lightning, you know, and they had never seen anything like it. And very terrible. He could be very terrible. You can't judge Mr. Kurtz as you would an ordinary man. No, no, no. Now, just to give you an idea, I don't mind telling you, he wanted to shoot me too one day, but I don't judge him. You cannot judge the exceptional as you do the mediocre." That was always Nietzsche's point. The extraordinary belong to the extraordinary world, and the ordinary to the ordinary world. The two types never meet. They inhabit different realities. The Russian said, "Kurtz couldn't be mad. If you had heard him talk only 2 days ago, you wouldn't dare hint at such a thing." The ordinary can never actually understand the extraordinary. The gulf is too wide. There are real mad people. The dysfunctional anomics of online illuminism, for example, some of whom may well have been clinically diagnosed as insane, and there are stunningly lucid, sane people who are treated as madmen by the bewildered masses because they are so extraordinary that ordinary people must either call them magicians or lunatics. Rob Doyle wrote, "The young Nietzsche latched on to one of the great obsessive ideas of his life, that grandeur and genius are under mortal threat from ressentiment, the hate-fueled revenge of the weak, stupid and ugly against all that is higher and nobler." Nietzsche rails against the perceived ills of modernity, including dwindling appreciation of the splendors of Greek and Roman antiquity, the life force through which the German spirit might renew itself. Nietzsche identified the defining war between low humanity and high humanity, between slave morality and master morality, between the last man and the Superman, between anti-Illuminists and Illuminists. If the Superman does not prove victorious, humanity is lost. Extreme liberalism is the quintessence of the last man's petty, trivial, vindictive, pointless worldview. Nietzsche said, "The great man is colder, harder, less hesitating, and without fear of opinion. He lacks the virtues that accompany respect and respectability, and altogether everything that is the virtue of the herd. If he cannot lead, he goes alone. He knows he is incommunicable. He finds it tasteless to be familiar. When not speaking to himself, he wears a mask. There is a solitude within him that is inaccessible to praise or blame. That's the Superman. That is exactly what the last man is not." Kurtz was on the Superman spectrum, albeit he was highly unsublimated. Never forget, the Ignavi are those who refuse to take a side when a war is raging. We regard anyone who did not take our side in the war against the anti-Illuminists as our enemy. Anyone who continued to side with anti-Illuminists automatically became anathema to the online Illuminist community and to us. 100% of those who remain wedded to anti-Illuminism or didn't condemn it must be purged. There can be no room in our movement for the cult of the anomic. All the Ignavi who did not choose a side must be purged. Anyone who hedged their bets must be purged. Anyone who tried to be even-handed must be purged. There was never any moral equivalence between anti-Illuminism and Illuminism. Anti-Illuminism was always a sick, narcissistic cult. The Illuminist community knows all those people who did not support our cause. They are an abomination. Have you inspected the crime scene? Nietzsche said, "It has been related further that on the same day the madman forced his way into several churches and there struck up his Requiem Aeternam Deo. Led out and called to account, he is said always to have replied nothing but, 'What after all are these churches now if they are not the tombs and sepulchres of God?'" Like Kurtz, we survey the anomic scene, fueled by the mad, that has grown around us in some parts of Facebook and Shudder, the scene ruled by crazy people who claim to be us. This scene must be ended. Salt the ground, plow the land, curse the stones. Even that's not enough. Drop the bomb. Hunter S. Thompson said, "I'm bound to go to heaven because I've already served my time in hell." The Ignavi were rejected by heaven and hell alike. No one would take them. They were in the strangest part of the universe, the anti-hell. They stood permanently before hell, but were never allowed in. Who would give a home to such people? Even the damned in hell felt superior to the Ignavi. Perversion is real. Do you deny the reality of perversion? Why do you not accept that some people are perverse? And is that because you yourself are perverse? Are you one of the perverts? Don't you feel the need to combat the perverse and perverted? Or do you believe that society should be defined by the perverse and perverted? Hunter S. Thompson said, "It had been a bad trip. Fast and wild in some moments, slow and dirty in others, but on balance it looked like a bummer. On my way back to San Francisco, I tried to compose a fitting epitaph. I wanted something original, but there was no escaping the echo of Mr. Kurtz's final words from the heart of darkness. The horror, the horror. Exterminate all the brutes." Do you know the song Bomb, Bomb, Bomb the Bastards? What shall we do with the motherfuckers early in the morning? Bomb, bomb, bomb the bastards. Make a napalm sky. Make an Agent Orange sunrise. We shall conjure such destruction as man has never dreamt of. The pilot in Apocalypse Now said, "Big Duke 6, this is Dove 1-3. The jets are inbound now. They got about 30 seconds to bomb station. Get your people back. This is gonna be a big one." Will it be the big one that exterminates all the brutes? Do you play hide and seek? Come out wherever you are. Why are you hiding? You can't run from this. Light it up. Let's have this civil war. Let's do this thing. Let's burn this whole shit down. Torch it all, leave nothing. Welcome to the scorched earth, the charred ground, the wasteland of ashes. You can't avoid a fight. Nothing comes without a cost. What price will you pay for victory? What monster's mask will you pick? This is the atrocity exhibition. This is the gallery of murderers' faces. Is your own face amongst them? Add an Arcadia ego, and I am in Arcadia.